Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bassam Haddad, and I am joined by the wonderful Carol Mansour, who is joining us today for a very important film screening that we are proud. I am proud and honored to have Carol with us. She's an award winning filmmaker who has been around for quite a long time working on topics that bridge the divide or bridge the realms of serious analytical social issues and the public realm. This is the sort of thing we try to do at the Arab Studies Institute as well, and that's why we are very excited to have Carol with us. There is so much I can say about Carol Mansour, but first I would like to welcome her and say أهلا وسهلا كارول. How are you?
Well, you need to unmute me. Okay, I am unmuted. Thank you,
كيفك؟
Bassam, for the introduction.
بعد ما
I'm good.
بلشت
ماشي
ما...
حالك.
This is not your introduction.
Ah,
This is I mean this
yes,
is the
بس
brief hello. أهلا وسهلا. Thank you, Carol, for joining us. I'm going to actually read a short biography because it would be, I mean, almost impossible to read everything today. But as I shared with the various audiences that are following us, we are going to have another event with you in which we address your um artistic journey and some of the personal short documentaries that you have that have gained a lot of popularity because of their strength and power. But first, let me say a few things about Carol, who will be showing today screening Shattered Beirut 607. 6 يعني الساعة 6 و7 دقائق 6 p.m. and 7 minutes. Carol Mansour is an independent documentary filmmaker. Um, she founded Forward Film Production in 2000. With over 30 years in documentary production, Mansour has covered the world from Sri Lanka to Lebanon to Uzbekistan, receiving international recognition and honor for her films, which reflect her concern for human rights and social justice. Her films tackle issues of forced displacement and refugee rights, migrant workers, mental health, war and memory, child labor, and women's rights. She's got all of the critical issues covered. Carol's films have won numerous prestigious awards with over 100 film festival screenings and official selections worldwide. And as I shared, there's a lot I could share more about Carol's work, including her being the principal editor of the film that we produced in 2004 about Baghdad, which ended up winning a couple of best documentary awards at film festivals. And in many ways, we kept in touch, and I am thrilled that we are able to welcome you again, Carol. So this is your introduction, even though it doesn't do justice. Welcome to our Middle East and Islamic Studies programming, in which we feature a number of lecturers, artists, and interlocutors who bring the Middle East to us because we cannot go there. Actually, right now, we can't go anywhere. ما فينا نروح محل أبدا. So we have to do what we are doing. Um, so I would like to also share that this event is co-sponsored by Global Affairs at George Mason, by the Center for Global Islamic Studies, and Char School for Policy and Government, and a lot of people at Mason and beyond are tuning in. Carol, before we show the film, would you like me to say a couple words about the film based on the literature on the film, or would you like to introduce it?
uh, first of all, now that you have introduced me more, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank all the sponsors, the university, the Islamic studies, etc., etc. The film, actually, I'm not going to say much about it. It was just shot right after the Beirut port explosion on August the fourth 9 months ago, actually 9 months and 2 days. So I think maybe after watching the film, we can talk a bit.
Absolutely, and you instructed me to show the film. I'm going to actually leave the floor to you right after the film, and then we'll have a conversation. So, without further ado, I would like to show the film now, and I am looking forward to a discussion. If people would like to join us on Facebook, um, please do, as I will be able to field some questions, identify yourselves, and we'll try it as much as possible to do so online. All right, so we are going to move to showing the film. It's about 17 minutes, so please bear with us.
صوت الإزاز مكسر بذكرني بالحرب الأهلية. تفجيرات، الاغتيالات، السيارات المفخخة، الخطف، الحواجز، تقنيص، قصف الطيران الإسرائيلي. بتذكر بال76 77 كان عمري 16 17 سنة. كنا قاعدين بالبيت مع أهلي والجيران. طلع انفجار بأوتيل ميديتراني دغري حد البيت. ركضنا على البلكون لنشوف شو صار. ما بتذكر مين صرخ. فوتوا أكيد في عبوة تانية. ما في كم ثانية وطلعت العبوة التانية. ما بنسى يومها كيف وقع كل الإزاز على الكنباية اللي قبل دقيقة كان قاعد بي عليها. بتذكر كمان بال2007 لما حطوا عبوة لوليد عيدو على سبورتينج قبل البيت. كمان مرة كسر كل إزاز البيت. ما بنسى الرعب بعيون أمي لما رجعت من الشغل. هاي كانت آخر زيارة لأمي على لبنان.
I'm good.
What is it?
لك القتلة بالأرض حفرجيكم القتلة بعد ما حدا نرجع عليهم. 3 يا حرام، إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. هون في واحد كمان، هون هذا واحد كمان. شباب انتبهوا، في شعب ينفجر.
كل ما بفكر بهاللحظة بتذكر الألوان والانفجار، وكأن في شيء كائن شرير جاي يبلعنا. عرفت إنه إيدي مكسرين، ريحة دم، وهالإحساس بالشر اللي ما كان يفارقني. وبعدين سمعت صوت سامر وفكرت عم هلوس، ولولا سامر وكارا اجوا طلعوا للطابق العاشر يطمنوا علينا، يمكن كان صفى دمنا.
هلو في انفجارات طيارات
كان يوم الثلاثاء ب4 آب الساعة 6:07 بعد الظهر. بالأول فكرت هزة أرضية، بعدين فكرت انفجار بالبناية، بس طلع أخرب كتير من هيك. طلع ثالث أكبر انفجار بالعالم، انفجار بمرفأ بيروت، انفجار دمر نص مدينتي. 4 آب 2020، تاريخ ما بفتكر حدا رح ينساه.
اوكي، ما بعرف اذا عم تسمعوني بليز. هون شركة الكهرباء، هلا طلع انفجار سوبر قوي، متكسر كل شيء، يعني منظر دمار شامل. هيدا انا ما بعرف، ما طلعت بحالي، بس هلا عم شوف اني كلني دم وجسمي كله هيك. هيدا البيت، هيدا كله مكسر، ما بقى في شيء ورا شيء، ما بقى في باب، ما بقى في شيء، ما بقى في بيت، تدمر كل شيء، انتهى، ما بقى في شيء واقف على شيء. هيدا البيت
مش أول مرة بينتهي كل شي. ما انتهى كل شي لما فرط البلد، انتهى كل شي لما فرط الاقتصاد، لما نزلنا على الشارع وقوصوا علينا، لما الناس بلشت تنتحر من الفقر والجوع، لما اجت الكورونا وخنقتنا، ولما بس ما بعرف ليه هالمرة مع الانفجار حاسة انه عن جد انتهى كل شي.
ايه البور انفجر. ايه الخزانات، خزانات المازوت، الخزانات ما في طرقات، ليك فقط، ليك ما في ولا طريق تمشي فيها، ولا طريق، كله دمار الدمار.
بعدني كارول مش كتير حاسس، يعني كأن طول هالوقت اللي الواحد بيتبنج فيه، انه نحن بعدنا لهلا ما عرفنا حجم الانفجار. يعني كل يوم بنكتشف قديش الانفجار اكبر من اللي كنا مفكرينه امبارح، وبكره رح نكتشف قديش هو اكبر من اللي مفكرينه اليوم.
ما حدا
بدي اخذ حدا معك على المستشفى. بعد بعيد مدام. ديانا عمر نعطيكم بالرواق بتفهموا. ديانا عمر صرنا ساعة مثل الكلاب هون.
On this Tuesday night, an enormous explosion blasts through Beirut.
قال مدير الأمن
شو منقول للناس يلي ماتوا؟ شو منقول ليلي انجرحوا؟ ليلي فقدوا بيوتهم؟ منقلن انه كانوا عارفين؟ منقلن انه ولا واحد منهم اعتذر؟ منقلن انه رئيس الجمهورية ما تذكر ولا اسم واحد بيناتهم؟ ولك بعدنا لليوم شهرين بعد الانفجار ما منعرف عدد القتلى ولا عدد الجرحى ولا كم واحد بعدهم مفقودين.
عبد الحليم علي سالم، عبد القادر بلوسو، عبد طانيوس عطا، أحمد محمد عميرة، جيسيكا وجه داوود، جهاد أنطوان سعد، جو حداد، جو علي،
جون كوكو، جون باش، جون ساجد علي، جوزيف روكو،
إنه كم مرة بحق لمدينة وحدة هيك تقهر أهلها هالقد. هاي قصة إنه نحنا منقوم ومنتفائل ومنبني ومنعمل، فيها شي هيك مرضي. نحنا لازم ما يكون عنا شيء للغضب. هلأ مثلا غضبانة لأنه شفت صور هالولد اللي عم يدفنوه، العمى بعيونهم.
كارول، كيف يعني ما رح انزل؟ اكيد رح انزل، ما قادرة اقعد ببيتي، لازم انزل على الشارع لانه عندي غضب فظيع. كتير كتير غضبانة كارول، كتير يعني غضبي ما له حدود. انه اوكي بلشنا ننزل من يوم 17 تشرين وكل يوم بيزيد الغضب على يوم، وبعد الانفجار لا يعني رح ينفجر الغضب عندي. مستعدة انزل كسر طحبش، ما بعرف يعني، حتى هيك بدي امسك شي ونتفه قد ما عندي غضب.
هذا الشيء اللي نحن عايشينه مش طبيعي. هذا الشيء انه نحن بيصير فينا انفجار ورا انفجار ورا انفجار، ورا مأساة، ورا اغتيال، ورا قتل، ورا عنف عنف عنف، ونحن هيك بنرجع بنوقف على اجرينا وما بعرف شو. هذا الشيء هيك مريض.
خلص بقى نقول إنه الحمد لله عايشين ونشكر الله بس هيك، وإنه زمطنا، وإنه على لحظة ما بدي لا أشكر ربي إنه ما انصبت، لا أشكر حظي إنه بس كم لوح إزاز بالبيت وبالمكتب طاروا. ما بدي نكون نحن الشعب يلي مرة ورا مرة ورا مرة بيرجع وبيوقف على إجريه، ولك الله لا يردوا لطائر الفينيق. بكرهوا قد ما خلوني أكره كلمة ريزيلينس. ما بقى بدي لا أصمد ولا أتحمل ولا أتأقلم. دخلكن ليه نحن يلي بدنا نشيل الردم؟ ليه نحن يلي بدنا نكنس الإزاز؟ ليه نحن يلي بدنا نرجع نعمر؟
يعني ما بعرف شو بدي اقول لك بصراحة، لأنه المفروض حدا عاش شو صار بالشام من 2011، إنه حبس وراح على حلب والرقة من بعز دين الحرب تبعها، إنه يبطل يخاف من أي شيء مشابه للي مر فيه. ودائما كنت أقول إنه أسوأ من اللي صار ما عاد يصير، لا إجا الانفجار هون ودمر لي كل هيدا الشيء وخلاني حدا جبان، وهالشي خلاني لليوم حدا كتير غضبان من حالي، وما بعرف كيف بدي أتخطى هيدا الشيء.
الشعور تبع البعد ممزوج بالشعور بالغضب وبالشعور انه هلأ بدي احمل حالي وانزل باول طيارة. بنفس الوقت في هذا الشعور انه ركز تنزل شو تعمل. اذا بدك تنزل اول شي تيأس وتكتئب. في انفجار نيك اخت العالم، واللي كان عنده نكزة امل ونكزة شعور هيك بشي ايجابي حطم ونزله للحضيض. يعني شو بدك تنزل تعمل بالضبط؟ والعجز التام كوجودي كحدا مسافر، مع اني انا عارف كتير منيح انه اذا كنت ببيروت مش رح شيل الزير من البير، يعني مش رح اعمل شيء بالاحرى. يعني يمكن فيني رفه شوي عن بعض العالم، انه ننكت ولا نسكر ولا نلعب موسيقى ولا نعمل هودي الاشياء اللي هني اشبه بالتخدير.
كارول، أنا واقفة على رمال متحركة. هيك حاسة حالي. كان عندي شبكة أمان مشكلتها من العالم والأصحاب القراب اللي بنسند على بعض، اللي إذا حدا وقع بهد التاني. هي شبكات أماننا. شو هي يعني؟ الضمان ولا الدولة؟ هول هن الناس، أصحابنا، أهلنا. أنا هلأ عم بتطلع على هي شبكة الأمان تحتي، عم لاقيها كلها أسئلة. وين مين باقي؟ مين رايح؟ مين حيلاقي فرصة تاخده؟ مين حيروح بلا فرصة؟ مين لو صحله بأي لحظة؟ ما قلق يعني ما بقى عارفة مين باقي ومين فالل. إيه. خلص يعني فجروا الأرض اللي واقفين عليها. نحن كل ما ناخد نفس بيفقع فينا شي.
شي بعلاقتي ببيروت راح بطل. يعني ما في شك انه بيروت هي ضحية مثلي، وفينا نقول انه حق حساسين البقر يلي حاكميننا. بس في كمان احساس مثل واحد يعني عم بيحاول يعمل علاقة مع مرة بحبها وما بدها، يعني ما بدها بيروت تعمل معي علاقة. فأنا اقتنعت.
دمروها لروح بيروت ولكنكوا للبلد. ما بحياتي رح سامحهم على اللي عملوه واللي بعدهم عم بيعملوه فينا. دمرونا، نهبونا، فقرونا، عذبونا، زلونا، هجرونا، قهرونا وفجرونا. قرطة فاسدين شريرين، قرطة مجرمين معيشيننا بحالة انفجار دائم. بعدني كل ليلة بحلم بصوت الإزاز، وخايفة إنه هاي ما تكون آخر مرة بسمع هالصوت.
Wow. Carol, I would like to invite you to say a few words before we even start the conversation. I had a couple of moments of silence with some of the images so that we can just ponder. So I'll leave the mic to you.
Bassam, every time I watch this film, I'm traumatized all over again. So much anger, sadness, despair. I feel like I'm choking, I'm crying, like hitting the wall. It's difficult to talk in the first person because this explosion had an impact on everyone. It hit us in our own secure, safe space, in our homes, where we least expected it. The physical cost was enormous. The human cost was devastating. I think we are still all traumatized from what happened 9 months ago. I still, jump at every little sound. I, literally jump. The fear of having another catastrophe is always in the back of my mind. We all know Lebanon is going through a major economic collapse. We have no access to our own money, our dollars. The Lebanese pound has lost 80% of its value. People who can leave the country are just leaving. Doctors, teachers, professionals, a lot of my friends have left. Shops and restaurants are closing down. You go into a supermarket, the shelves are empty. No access to employment, no access to basic services like health and education. None of it is available to us. And the list goes on and on and on. It's a major catastrophe, I think. Add to this the pandemic, and to top it all, the 4th of August explosion. I don't know. It's a big problem. It's a big... I don't know, you want me to tell you how the idea came to me to do a film? Do you have any questions?
I have questions, and I will start with what you shared with us. First of all, this was a superb, a really superb image or set of images that we saw. The images spoke for themselves, and this is the mark of a remarkable piece of work, piece of art. So I thank you for taking the time and doing this, despite what you must have been feeling, which we saw in the film. I would like to start from where you finished. I would like to ask you about the film, but I would like to emphasize that the explosion took place at a moment where people have hit rock bottom, and Lebanon had hit rock bottom. It didn't happen at a time when there was some normalcy. So and I think it's difficult for people to realize exactly what that means. And that is why maybe we can also talk a little bit more about this. But first, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can, I mean, we know why you made the film. If you can just guide us through the process and why maybe specifically you decided to overcome yourself perhaps and make the film, and the process of actually making the film, and if it generated new things or new ideas or new perspectives on your part.
Well, let me start with the basics. When it happened, I was in Hamra, which is around 5 kilometers away from the blast. The first thing that came to my mind was, it's an earthquake. Then I thought, no, the Israelis bombarded, the next door building. Then if it was the Israelis, this means that they're going to bombard us again. Until finally we found out that it was an explosion at the port of Beirut. So my first reaction was to go out and see with my own eyes what happened. Although I was very scared, like physically scared. I felt, my knees couldn't carry me, but I just wanted to go out and see. I live in an area which is closer to the port, so I wanted to go check on the apartment. And on my way to my house, I received a phone call from a friend, Hala, who was looking for another friend, Mishka, who lives just across the port. So she was doing all the hospitals. I passed by one of the hospital on my way home, and this is when I really realized the immensity of the tragedy. And this is when I started filming, basically. And the following day, for the next 2-3 weeks, I just went down to the streets every day. I have a little motorcycle, so it's easier to move around, because it was not easy to move around with, all the glass on the floor and the buildings down. And so I was going from one neighborhood to the other, talking to people and just filming the total destruction. So the film basically came as a result of, anger, deep anger, sadness, frustration, and the fact that it turned out to be the result of corruption, makes it worse. In a way, I do feel blessed that I have this tool, this ability to express myself through a film, in order to maybe try to overcome my own trauma and anger. It took, I was numb actually while filming. I just couldn't feel, and I took it as something to do to be able to show the world what happened in Lebanon. So after filming, I had all these hours and hours of destruction and pain and suffering, and I just spent 1 month with my headphones and trying to edit this piece. But Sam, you said something at the beginning when you said this artistic piece. Sometimes I hate to call it artistic, because it's something I feel ashamed a little bit saying this is an artistic piece. I think it did come out from the heart, but it's a bit confusing to be talking about art and making a film on this subject.
I totally understand, and as you well know, we were in a similar situation about 20 or 18 years ago in Baghdad, after the destruction of an entire country by the invasion, the U.S. invasion of Iraq, or destruction of Iraq, effectively. And in the end, it's also a way to communicate. I mean, the art here is not just addressed, in my view, as an aesthetic, مش بس شيء جمالي. It's also a way to communicate what is very difficult to communicate if somebody's outside that environment, and that's where the art comes in. It's sort of it's co-constitutive, if you will, with the tragedy. And I watched the film several times, and I watched it again now, and like you, every time every time I watched it, it had a profound impact on me. Perhaps because I'm sure because of this. Okay, so can you tell us, Carol, if you can, if you would like to tell us just a little bit about the accumulation of events through your story of actually working on documentaries that register and document these successive uh, dramas, tragedies, the pain, because you've worked on for the past many years, several years. You've worked on a lot of events, and I know we're going to have a discussion with you on these other uh, documentaries and works of yours. But can you tell us uh, about the
I can tell you actually,
about the
yeah, I can
progression?
tell you the progression in 2019 on the 17th of October, when people, went down to protest to I don't know if you can call it a revolution. But this is also when I started filming. The idea was the event was so, the whole, it was history. I couldn't believe that people from everywhere in Lebanon and were down on the streets protesting. We have seen protests before, but not like in 2019. Everywhere in Lebanon, south, north, the Bekaa, Beirut, the capital, the suburbs, you had people on the streets. So we decided to just document this event. And we followed seven people, filming them closely and filming what was happening on the streets. And then all of a sudden, Corona, and people stopped going down and demonstrating. So I was left with, I don't know, maybe 400 hours of footage, which I haven't done anything with because I need like a year to edit. And since then, I haven't worked on projects, that pay the fees. I've worked on many other short films, but nothing, as a studio, as a production house. So when the explosion happened, also I went down and started filming, and I contacted Daraj. I don't know if you know the platform Daraj. And
Yes.
I asked them if they can help me financially, because I had, there were expenses to pay for the post-production, for the sound, the color correction, etc. So it had been like 2 years I hadn't, worked properly where I was able to pay people. So this was my first job since 2019. I don't know what you want to know exactly. The process of what?
Let me unmute. This is the tragedy of COVID. The other tragedy of COVID, the mute button. Just a way of knowing a little bit more about the progression of tragedies. I mean, even as we talk right now, as you well know, of course, you know more than all of us here sitting from abroad. By the way, Carol is in Beirut right now. Even right now, after 9 months, uh, it's something different than what we've had, right? I mean, the explosion and its drama and its tragedy and its pain and suffering and the anger is now even more multiplied because of the ongoing crisis that has hit in terms of people's ability to make ends meet, to actually, eat properly, which is something that in the past couple of years Lebanon has witnessed something it hadn't for decades, even during the worst wars. Apparently, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the figure is today in terms of the currency and the exchange rate, but I understand it keeps getting from worse to worse. And you, as a Lebanese, as a filmmaker, as a person living in Lebanon, or however you identify yourself, uh,
Unfortunately, Bassam, the people, I think, are very tired and exhausted. Daily life is so difficult. Like I said at the beginning, we have, no access to nothing that is, electricity. Now probably it will cut and the internet will go. We pay double bills, the electricity and the generator. They keep on telling us that we're gonna lack fuel, so we will, be out of electricity. When I said supermarkets are empty, literally, first of all, you go into a supermarket and you see everybody checking the prices, because every minute it depends on, the exchange rate. So people are not able to buy food. The beggars on the streets are multiplying. You cannot walk on the street without, being stopped every meter by a mother, a children, a child, banks. No way you can access. You go to the bank and. The dollar was worth 1,500 Lebanese pounds. First of all, you cannot take out your dollars. So if you go to the bank, your dollar is worth now 4,000 Lebanese pounds. But if you have fresh dollars, now we have exchange rates. If you have physical dollars, which are fresh dollars, now we call them. Today, the dollar is 13,000 Lebanese pounds. We actually receive on our phones, like the daily rate from the black market, which is now the market, So we have dollars, which are the exchange rate at the bank. We have fresh dollars, and we have the Lebanese pound, which is worth nothing. Let me give you an example. I used to buy the kilo of coffee for 28,000 Lebanese pounds. Today, I bought a kilo for 135,000 Lebanese pounds. So prices are, climbing up. Shops and restaurants are closing down. It's so sad when you're driving around Beirut. People are depressed. The fact that all your support system is not around you anymore is really. I have lots of friends who left. I don't know. I personally wake up in the morning, and it's literally like this, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. A minute I hear, no, Carol, you're gonna make it. Everything is okay. 5 minutes later, I'm like, boom. So it's very depressing. It's really very depressing. If you don't have work, it's even more depressing. What can I tell you? Medication. Mm-hmm. At some point, we didn't find Tylenol in the pharmacies. So let alone if you have I don't know, somebody with mental health who needs medication. you have no access, so you have to call your friend, who will call somebody who is coming from where, and to if you want to pay with a credit card anything abroad, I am allowed for, I think my limit is $2 a month. I'm lucky enough to have a brother who lives abroad who helps me to pay my bills. What do you want me to tell you? It's a real disaster. Plus Corona, plus the corruption, plus you see that the government is not willing to do anything to get us out of here, you know. They are willing to يدعسوا علينا. They don't give about, you know, us. Their priorities are, you know, their own interests, their own wealth, their own power, and
Uh, yes, you know, as you know, I follow and I have friends and family in Beirut, in Lebanon. And this is also a story that, by the way, people assume it's bad because of how things started a couple of years ago, even before the protests. But I think a lot of people don't know how bad it is. So thank you for sharing with us. Although this is, I mean, quite depressing, but this is the truth, and it keeps getting worse. And for the first time in decades, it seems that many who never wanted to leave Lebanon, even during the worst times, are now desiring, because it's not always possible. Number one. Number two, it seems that some major conglomerate businesses are actually leaving now for the first time also in many decades. Shops are closing down. It's just an indicator. I mean, that's not the drama, of course, but it's an indicator of people's perception of what's to come. In your view, before we keep you for too long, in your view, or in terms of what you are looking for after this film and after these sorts of continuous spirals downward, uh, is there anything on your mind in terms of, you know, your actual work, your projects, or is it that there's sort of deafening silence even in that department? If you know what I mean. I mean, is this a time that you are inspired to do more, or is it something that has, you know, brought you down?
it brought me down for a very long time, for 2 years actually. But I just had a project I'm working on. The story of the migrant women workers. I don't know if you heard about them, who were thrown out of the Lebanese houses, and how these communities, the Ethiopians, Philippines, Sri Lankan, you name it, African, are coming together to help each other as a community and to repatriate those women and to help them, you know, get jobs, etc., etc. So this is now my focus. So at least I'm working on something.
Okay, that's actually something that we would love at some point in the future to sort of, you know, host, and if you have the time and energy to join us. And I know that we are going to connect with you again next week potentially, to talk about your journey as a filmmaker, but also as a human in this, you know, difficult set of situations, registering these processes and events, and also doing work on personal matters, which I have had the pleasure to see, which is one of the shorts that you have done on your father. So, without saying too much about, you know, the things that we're going to discuss, can you tell us a little bit about the two somewhat related short films that we will be watching? I know that on the flyer we suggested that you know, you'll be addressing this film, we'll show this film and other films, but it was too much to put them all together, and you and I agreed that we will have another event, so people get two Carol for one flyer. uh, which is good because these days, you need a bargain.
50%.
اتنين بواحد. So we will be connecting with you next week. But can you tell us a little bit about the film that addresses COVID and in Beirut, and the personal film, لو سمحتي.
Okay, so we're gonna watch two short films. The first one was made actually during the first lockdown in April 2020. We were asked, five Lebanese filmmakers were asked to do a 5-minute film in 1 week. By IMS, International Media Services. So I had a week to prepare a 5-minute Corona diary. I called it Covideo diary. I liked a lot. I actually liked a lot working on this film. Then the second one is more painful. My father, who was in Canada, passed away in May last year. Actually, a year ago, a year and a few days. And again, Daraj asked me to come and talk about the effect of losing somebody so close because of Corona and being so far away. So I decided, I said, no, I'm not going to stand in front of a camera and just talk about my feelings. So I asked for 3 weeks. And during those 3 weeks, I just gathered all the footage. I wrote a text, and you're going to see the film, a tribute to my father. I can't hear you anymore.
I appreciate. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I appreciate that, and I hope that we could continue to talk more, definitely, about both of these films, but also we'll be talking about your journey, because from what I know, Carol, being somebody who knew about who you were for more than 20 for about 20 years, you inspire a lot of people, especially young women, and they love what you do, what you stand for, and how you've been able to bring what is happening around us, especially those sensitive issues that a lot of people that talk about or are afraid to talk about, but usually won't touch sometimes, because it's so difficult to address things of the sort. And you've addressed them, and you've done so for consistently for such a long time. So we would love to feature you as not just as a filmmaker, but as a public figure that has inspired a lot of people and has made a difference. The films you've made, for instance, about domestic workers, or about children in particular places, not just in Lebanon but also outside Lebanon, have actually opened discussions. And this is the sort of thing that people, I think, always underestimate, not least in academia, the impact of certain filmmakers, by no means all filmmakers, in spurring discussions and conversations and debates, and bringing up issues to the forefront, issues that we are aware of but we don't discuss. Issues like the
electricity was
electricity
just
outage.
cut.
I was just gonna say, شايفك.
but
I see you.
the
قطعت
internet
الكهرباء.
is on the UPS.
Actually, because we've been doing a lot of work with people from overseas, we've had this happen like 3 times recently, on like live on the air.
Have you seen Jabran Basil saying that he would get back the electricity 24/24, and while he was talking, the electricity was cut?
Yes, that video circulated very, very well. So, is there anything else, Carol, that you'd like to share before we release you, so you can go back and enjoy the rest of the
I'm
day?
not enjoying anything. I have another Zoom call.
So you before you go back and enjoy a Zoom call.
Another Zoom call. No, I would like to thank you, Bassam. Honestly, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for thinking so highly of me. I am very flattered.
أكيد.
Uh,
It's my honor.
حبيبي.
عن جد, seriously.
And well, we can continue the discussion next week.
Yes, and we will announce it, and everyone will know that we're doing it. And if you don't mind, would it be possible to, after we close today, because right now at 2 p.m. here in Washington, a lot of people couldn't make it at 1. They could make it at 2. Would it be possible to close with showing the film until the end, or
no problem?
No
For
problem.
sure.
This way, people get a chance to watch it live, and then, of course, the whole recording will be still available afterwards. And I wanted to thank you again, and all power to you, you and all your friends, family, and everyone else persevering in Lebanon. And I hope that we can connect soon. I always love meeting you in person because we always make a scene, and people around us wonder what the hell is going on.
Can we talk about this off camera?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm
The
just
scene?
stopping here. That we make a scene because it's intense, and I have a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for you, and I look forward to seeing you again. And we hope that it will be under better circumstances, but I'm not sure.
I don't think we can get worse anyway. Things can get worse.
طيب, okay,
so it will be
excellent.
better.
All right. So what I will
Thank you,
do,
Bassam.
shukran. Thank you so much, Carol. Please take care of yourself, and we will see you soon. And what I'll do is that we will have a moment of silence with the image, and then we will start the film again for those who might have missed it when we started it about an hour ago. All right. Shukran كتير. Thank you so much, Carol.
صوت الإزاز مكسر بذكرني بالحرب الأهلية. تفجيرات، الاغتيالات، السيارات المفخخة، الخطف، الحواجز، تقنيص، قصف الطيران الإسرائيلي. بتذكر بال76 77 كان عمري 16 17 سنة. كنا قاعدين بالبيت مع أهلي والجيران. طلع انفجار بأوتيل ميديتراني دغري حد البيت. ركضنا على البلكون لنشوف شو صار. ما بتذكر مين صرخ. فوتوا أكيد في عبوة تانية. ما في كم ثانية وطلعت العبوة التانية. ما بنسى يومها كيف وقع كل الإزاز على الكنبية اللي قبل دقيقة كان قاعد بي عليها. بتذكر كمان بال2007 لما حطوا عبوة لوليد عيدو على سبورتينج قبل البيت. كمان مرة كسر كل إزاز البيت. ما بنسى الرعب بعيون أمي لما رجعت من الشغل. هاي كانت آخر زيارة لأمي على لبنان.
I'm good.
What is it?
لك القتلة بالأرض حفرجيكم القتلة بعد ما حدا نقرر عليهم. 3 يا حرام، إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. هم في واحد كمان هون، هذا واحد كمان. شباب انتبهوا، في شعب ينفجر.
كل ما بفكر بهاللحظة بتذكر الألوان والانفجار، وكأن في شيء كائن شرير جاي بلعنا. عرفت إنه إيدي مكسرين، ريحة دم، وهالإحساس بالشر اللي ما كان يفارقني. وبعدين سمعت صوت سامر وفكرت عم هلوس، ولولا سامر وكارا اجوا طلعوا للطابق العاشر يطمنوا علينا، يمكن كان صفى دمنا.
هلوش في انفجارات طيارات
كان يوم الثلاثاء ب4 آب الساعة 6:07 بعد الظهر. بالأول فكرت هزة أرضية، بعدين فكرت انفجار بالبناية، بس طلع أخرب كتير من هيك. طلع ثالث أكبر انفجار بالعالم، انفجار بمرفأ بيروت، انفجار دمر نص مدينتي. 4 آب 2020، تاريخ ما بفتكر حدا رح ينساه.
اوكي، ما بعرف اذا عم تسمعوني بليز. هون شركة الكهرباء، هلا طلع انفجار سوبر قوي. متكسر كل شيء، يعني منظر دمار شامل. هيدا انا ما بعرف، ما طلعت بحالي، بس هلا عم شوف انا كلني دم وجسمي كله هيك. هيدا البيت، هيدا كله مكسر، ما بقى في شيء ورا شيء، ما بقى في باب، ما بقى في شيء، ما بقى في بيت. تدمر كل شيء، انتهى، ما بقى في شيء واقف على شيء. هيدا البيت
مش أول مرة بينتهي كل شي. ما انتهى كل شي لما فرط البلد، انتهى كل شي لما فرط الاقتصاد، لما نزلنا على الشارع وقوصوا علينا، لما الناس بلشت تنتحر من الفقر والجوع، لما اجت الكورونا وخنقتنا، ولما بس ما بعرف ليه هالمرة مع الانفجار حاسة انه عن جد انتهى كل شي.
ايه البور فجر. ايه الخزانات المازوت، الخزانات ما في طرقات، ليك بطال، ليك ما في ولا طريق تمشي فيها ولا طريق، كله دمار.
بعدني كارول مش كتير حاسس يعني، كأن طول هالوقت اللي الواحد بيتبنج فيه، انه نحن بعدنا لهلا ما عرفنا حجم الانفجار. يعني كل يوم بنكتشف قديش الانفجار اكبر من اللي كنا مفكرينه امبارح، وبكره رح نكتشف قديش هو اكبر من اللي مفكرينه اليوم.
ما حدا بدي اخذ حدا معك على المستشفى. بعد بعيد مدام
ديانا عمر، ديانا عمر نعطيكم بالرواق تفهموا. ديانا عمر صرنا ساعة مثل الكلاب هون.
On this Tuesday night, an enormous explosion blasts through Beirut.
قال مدير الأمن
شو منقول للناس يلي ماتوا؟ شو منقول ليلي انجرحوا؟ ليلي فقدوا بيوتهم؟ منقلن انه كانوا عارفين؟ منقلن انه ولا واحد منهم اعتذر؟ منقلن انه رئيس الجمهورية ما تذكر ولا اسم واحد بيناتهم؟ ولك بعدنا لليوم شهرين بعد الانفجار ما منعرف عدد القتلى ولا عدد الجرحى ولا كم واحد بعدهم مفقودين.
عبد الحليم علي سالم، عبد القادر بلوسو، عبدو طانيوس عطا، أحمد محمد عميرة، جيسيكا مجد جان، جيسيكا وجد داوود، جهاد أنوار سعد، جو حكيم، جو علي، جان كوكي،
مجهول الهوية،
جون باك،
20
جون
مجهول
باك ساجد
الهوية.
علي، جوزيف روكو، جوزيفين
إنه كم مرة بحق لمدينة وحدة هيك تقهر أهلها هالقد. هاي قصة إنه نحن منقوم ومنتفائل ومنبني ومنعمل فيها شي هيك مرضي. نحن لازم ما يكون عنا شيء للغضب. هلأ مثلا غضبانة لأنه شفت صور هالولد اللي عم يدفنوه العمى بعيونهم.
كارول كيف يعني ما رح انزل؟ اكيد رح انزل، ما قادرة اقعد ببيتي، لازم انزل على الشارع لانه عندي غضب فظيع. كتير غضبانة كارول، كتير يعني غضبي ما إله حدود. انه اوكي بلشنا ننزل من يوم 17 تشرين وكل يوم بيزيد الغضب على يوم، وبعد الانفجار لا يعني رح ينفجر الغضب عندي. مستعدة انزل كسر طحبش ما بعرف، يعني حتى هيك بدي امسك شي ونتفه قد ما عندي غضب.
هذا الشيء اللي نحن عايشينه مش طبيعي. هذا الشيء انه نحن بيصير فينا انفجار ورا انفجار ورا انفجار، ورا مأساة، ورا اغتيال، ورا قتل، ورا عنف. ونحن هيك بنرجع بنوقف على اجرينا وما بعرف شو. هذا الشيء هيك مريض.
خلص بقى نقول إنه الحمد لله عايشين ونشكر الله بس هيك، وإنه زمطنا وإنه على لحظة. ما بدي لا أشكر ربي إنه ما انصبت، لا أشكر حظي إنه بس كم لوح إزاز بالبيت وبالمكتب طاروا. ما بدي نكون نحن الشعب يلي مرة ورا مرة ورا مرة بيرجع وبيوقف على إجريه، ولك الله لا يردوا لطائر الفينيق. بكره قد ما خلوني أكره كلمة ريزيلينس. ما بقى بدي لا أصمد ولا أتحمل ولا أتأقلم. دخلكن ليه نحن يلي بدنا نشيل الردم؟ ليه نحن يلي بدنا نكنس الإزاز؟ ليه نحن يلي بدنا نرجع نعمر؟
يعني ما بعرف شو بدي اقول لك بصراحه، لانه المفروض حدا عاش شو صار بالشام من 2011، انه حبس وراح على حلب والرقه من بعز دين الحرب تبعها، انه يبطل يخاف من اي شيء مشابه للي مر فيه. ودائما كنت اقول انه اسوأ من اللي صار ما عاد يصير، لا اجى الانفجار هون ودمر لي كل هيدا الشيء وخلاني حدا جبان، وهالشي خلاني لليوم حدا كتير غضبان من حالي، وما بعرف كيف بدي اتخطى هذا الشيء.
الشعور تبع البعد ممزوج بالشعور بالغضب وبالشعور انه هلأ بدي احمل حالي وانزل باول طيارة. بنفس الوقت في هذا الشعور انه ركز تنزل شو تعمل. اذا بدك تنزل اول شيء تيأس وتكتئب. في انفجار نيك اخت العالم، واللي كان عنده نكزة امل ونكزة شعور هيك بشيء ايجابي حطم ونزله للحضيض. يعني شو بدك تنزل تعمل بالضبط؟ والعجز التام كوجودي كحدا مسافر، مع اني انا عارف كتير منيح انه اذا كنت ببيروت مش رح شيل الزير من البير، يعني مش رح اعمل شيء بالاحرى. يعني يمكن فيني رفه شوي عن بعض العالم، انه ننكت ولا نسكر ولا نلعب موسيقى ولا نعمل هودي الاشياء اللي هني اشبه بالتخدير.
كارول، أنا واقفة على رمال متحركة. هيك حاسة حالي. كان عندي شبكة أمان مشكلتها من العالم والأصحاب القراب اللي بنسند على بعض، اللي إذا حدا وقع بهد التاني. يعني هي شبكات أماننا. شو هي يعني؟ الضمان ولا الدولة؟ هول هن الناس، أصحابنا، أهلنا. أنا هلأ عم بتطلع على هي شبكة الأمان تحتي، عم لاقيها كلها أسئلة. وين مين باقي؟ مين رايح؟ مين حيلاقي فرصة تاخده؟ مين حيروح بلا فرصة؟ مين لو صحله بأي لحظة؟ ما قلق يعني ما بقى عارفة مين باقي ومين فالل. خلص يعني فجروا الأرض اللي واقفين عليها. نحن كل ما ناخد نفس بيفقع فينا شيء.
شي بعلاقتي ببيروت راح بطل. يعني ما في شك انه بيروت هي ضحية مثلي، وفينا نقول انه حساسين البقر يلي حاكميننا. بس في كمان احساس مثل واحد يعني عم بيحاول يعمل علاقة مع مرة بحبها وما بدها، يعني ما بدها بيروت تعمل معي علاقة. فأنا اقتنعت.
دمروها لروح بيروت ولكنيكوا للبلد. ما بحياتي رح سمحهم على اللي عملوه واللي بعدهم عم بيعملوه فينا. دمرونا، نهبونا، فقرونا، عذبونا، زلونا، هجرونا، قهرونا وفجرونا. قرطة فاسدين شريرين، قرطة مجرمين معيشيننا بحالة انفجار دائم. بعدني كل ليلة بحلم بصوت الإزاز، وخايفة إنه هاي ما تكون آخر مرة بسمع هالصوت.